Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have some incredibly exciting news regarding the newly announced Transformers MPM-10 Masterpiece movie figure. Now before I get in depth into the reveal and give you my initial thoughts on what figure was revealed, we have been highly awaiting official confirmation of the MPM line ever since the beginning of this year. As usually per tradition with the MPM line, we tend to get two reveals usually at the beginning of January. However, with this year we had no reveals whatsoever, and it was only a couple of days ago that we actually found out that we would indeed be getting an official announcement by both Hasbro and Takara. And today is that day, and I can now officially announce that the Transformers Masterpiece movie series MP10 figure is the Decepticons' second in command 2007 movie Starscream. Now personally for me, this reveal did not come as a surprise whatsoever, just as we have had continuous leaks regarding the MPM line, and Starscream and Ratchet have both been rumoured for a considerable amount of time, and really and truly Starscream is the next biggest Decepticon character that I would imagine Hasbro and Takara to really approach. I wouldn't expect them to put a character such as Bone Crusher or Brawl or even Blackout over Starscream, as he just has much more presence than either of those characters. Something which I have got to say that has surprised me is how well executed Hasbro and Takara seemingly have pulled off this Starscream design. He has got a rather obscure character design in the movie, that being more of a Dorito-like shape, and he does turn into a really elegant jet. So the Studio Series version for me up until now has been probably one of the best definitive representations we've ever got of the character. The original Hunt for the Decepticons leader class for me was masterpiece grade, but looking at this figure I do think this could take the cake and be the best movie Starscream figure potentially of all time. Checking out Starscream's F-22 Raptor alt form first, we can see that this is a perfect representation to the Raptor that we saw in the movie. This particular shot here does show this jet mode in a slightly better light than some of the pictures that I will showcase further on in this video, as the tattoos or the texture to the actual jet themselves are a lot darker and a lot muted than what we get later on. Some of the other official images that have come out by Hasbro show these rather darker patches on the jet mode being more of a blue colour, but I think that the grey colouring here we see is vastly more accurate, and I really do hope that this is what we get when the figure is eventually unveiled. Stepping aside from taking a look at the jet mode, we can see all of his accessories attached to this jet, so it is great to see that he will in fact include all three of his signature weapons, that being the buzzsaw, the missile launcher, as well as the machine gun that we see him deploy on his arm throughout all of the three Transformers Michael Bay movies. The jet mode, from what we can see in this image, does look very clean and very elegant. We can see some robot kibble on the underneath, however we don't have a great shot of this, and personally for me, from looking at the official video that was released by Hasbro and Takara, I think that they've done a great job in concealing some of those robot mode parts. It's great to see the United States Air Force emblem on either side of Starscream's wings, and we can also see some fantastic detailings such as all of the sculpted in texture throughout the main top of the vehicle mode. I can also see some nice details here, such as the cockpit, which seems to have actually been detailed really nicely, and I really do like the transparent orange plastic dome that they've placed over the top. However, of course, it's really the robot mode that truly takes the cake. This looks absolutely phenomenal, and dare I say this could potentially be the best MPM figure of all time for the Michael Bay movies. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Hunt for the Decepticons leader Starscream, as well as the Studio Series Voyager Starscream, but this version here just looks so much more accurate, even down to the individually articulated fingers, the way that he's got all of the different layers to the fins on the back. He does have some phenomenal articulation. Once again, I highly recommend that you check out the official video taken by Hasbro and Takara, which demonstrates all of the different joints that he will in fact have in the wings, as well as in his actual shoulder region. You can actually get a tremendous amount of range of motion out of the shoulders and the arms, all of which will greatly improve your display options for this figure. The head sculpt looks really well done with some nice gold accents in it as well, and we can see him utilising the machine gun on his forearm. The fingers at the back are fully articulated, and I think that the angular design to where I presume his bicep is really well done and is very accurate. We can also see some nice paint applications such as the darker wash to bring out some of the sharper details of the sculpt, and I just think that they've captured his overall design so well with this particular rendition. To me, this truly is is a masterpiece figure. And with some hit and misses that we have recently got with the MPM line, such as the Ironhide and the Optimus Prime figure, I really think that this is up there with some of the best. It could be the best. I don't actually have this figure in hand, so I can't comment on whether or not it is the best, but taking a look at some of these images, it sure looks to be one of the best, and I'm just blown away by the level of detail and accuracy Takara have managed to pack into this figure. Taking a better, more upfront look at the figure, we can see here that the angular design to his overall torso region I think has been done really nicely, and here you can see some of the articulation in those back wings. They are in fact able to be lifted upwards and downwards depending on your preference, and it can also be moved forwards and backwards, so you can have them compressed flush against the back or angle them out to the sides to make it look as if though perhaps he's flying through the air. We can see here that the torso is really thick, very large in its design, which makes the proportions such as the head, the arms and the legs look a lot smaller, much like we actually saw on the CGI design. You can also see here the fingers. I think the fingers are just so well done. They look so articulated, and it's great that they are all individually articulated and that they aren't grouped together. I do like the paint variation as well, the darker cream wash, as well as some of the white paint applications, and you can see that the gold really does pick out some of that nice piston detailing and just some of the overall mechanical detailing of the overall sculpt. As we begin to move down to the lower region of the figure, we can see those very infamous Starscream chicken leg designs, which I think look quite nice, and they have got ratchet joints, so I'm sure they'll be very stable. I'm not entirely sure whether or not this figure does have ab crunch or waist rotation, but judging from this image, to me the waist does look at a slight angle, which if it is, I think that this will be the first movie Starscream figure to ever incorporate waist articulation, which truly would be absolutely fantastic. Something else which I was not expecting Hasbro and Takara to do whatsoever was to actually detail the back to look as realistic as possible. This is something they should aim to do with all of their figures, and I'm so grateful to them that they've gone the extra mile to actually engineer the figure in a way to give us a both accurate back representation and front representation. Here we can see that the back is very clean and very accurate to the film, and he even has got some additional details such as the thrusters that we see Starscream use throughout all of his time in the movie. You can see that these have been given a more goldish tint to them, which I think looks really nice, very metallic and very reflective. Personally, I would have liked them to have perhaps include some additional blaster accessories, similarly to what they do with some of the Siege and Earthrise figures, where they attach additional flame accessories, just to give that extra sense of realism. However, as this is a masterpiece figure, I can kind of see as to why perhaps they wouldn't want to do that type of playability with the character, and these do seem to be 5mm ports, so I do imagine you can use some of those blast effects from some of the other lines and actually peg them into this figure yourself. A really nice attention to detail, and as I stated, something which I wasn't expecting whatsoever. So those are just some of my first initial thoughts and feelings on the newly announced MPM-10 movie Starscream. As you've probably noticed throughout this video, I think that this looks to be a fantastic release by both Hasbro and Takara. Robot mode looks to be one of the best representations we've got for the movie Starscream so far, and the jet mode looks quite clean as well. I just hope that they can refine some of the colours to give us a more movie accurate look, like we can see from some of the publicity shots. I think it's great that he comes with all of the accessories we see him use within the movie, such as the buzzsaw, the missile launcher, as well as the machine gun. Really nice attention to detail. He will in fact have die-cast pieces like we see with some of the other MPM figures, and he will also have an articulated jaw just to allow for that extra sense of realism, and it's always nice to have some more posability options. There is no price announced for this figure as of this recording, and we don't have any images of this figure scaled next to the other figures, so there's no idea on how big he actually is. However, we do know this figure is scheduled to be released of November 2020, so let's hope that they stick to this release schedule so that we can get this figure as soon as possible. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, and also be sure to let me know whether or not you're happy with the announcement of the MPM-10 Starscream, or whether or not you would have preferred them to have perhaps released Ratchet before Starscream. And if you're not happy with the overall look of the figure, be sure to let me know why down below. Thanks for watching.